Welcome to all the classic car enthusiasts. This will be a kind of part 3 on this jacking system for the hill climb car, rally cars, race car, whatever I want. Before I do that, I've got 2 pieces of good news. Well, one really good. The first one is I've 5 days now I've been off the cigarettes. I'm on these puffers, and I bought an extra couple because they don't. You have to keep charging them all the time, but they're working really well. And this is menthol, which is the menthol cigarettes I was smoking before, and it seems to be doing the trick. I haven't had a cigarette for 5 days, so yeah, I'm really pleased. If I can get a week out of it and then do a second week, third, fourth, and get off them. The other bit of news I got today, which is really good, my wife was talking to me earlier about it. We got some results back from the MRI scan I had last week, and it's showing that there's it's an all clear on the cancer. So from my understanding of it, looking at the PSA, which was 4.7, it's now to 1.37 on the blood test, and there's nothing showing on the MRI whatsoever. And they did a long one. It was a good 30 minutes I was in there. It's showing nothing. So the cancer that I mentioned to you before was actually in the biopsy of when they did the operation. When they first did the operation, they obviously took a coring from the prostate, and when they took that out, that's obviously what they were testing, and that was cancerous. Fortunately, touch wood. It seems like it hasn't spread anywhere, and there's no sign anywhere else. Doesn't mean I'm off the hook, but it's looking good, put it that way. And we'll just have to have a test each year, and you should anyway. Once you're over, once you're over 60, you want to be doing that anyway. So that's good news. It looks like I'm going to be around a bit longer and bore you more to death and put more videos up. Anyway, and I thank you for everybody that made comments when I first mentioned it. And yeah, well, I've got to go see the professor on the 16th, and we'll see where we go from there. Anyway, getting back to this. So, like I said, I've made these just really roughly, and you can see that they were a couple of minutes. I didn't put them straight, get the angles right or anything. I just wanted to see if it would work, and it's patently obvious that it does. So something like that, but done in a different way, could be used. You could, in fact, even make this and then put a slight angle in it where it goes under the floor, so it lifts the floor even more. So instead of putting all the weight on here, this would have to be exactly the right height and obviously the right shape. This is far too small, but it showed that it will lift it. So this is something that can be developed if you guys want to do that. This second one, again, it's rough as hell, as you can see, but the idea is that this can slide into the front subframe, or conversely in the rear subframe, and then you're using this as the pivot point. So the new one's going inside. I mean, obviously if you greased it, it would turn even easier, but it should turn as long as the radiuses are pretty much the same. And I've put this into a front. I've got quite a few spare front subframes and rear subframes in the lower garage, and I put it in and it fits. And what this block would actually do is where the subframe comes along and it's U-shaped, this would trap in between it and stop it from bending if it was weak. So that's the idea behind it. Again, it's just a tryout. It's only I mean, it's a project, and I'm just trying to see what works and what doesn't work, and what can go on easy and what can come off. You don't. In the case of the car, we could a hill climb car, a rally car, race car, whatever. You could actually weld this pipe on if you wanted to, but you wouldn't want to do that on a road car. So I'm trying to work out some way that you guys with a normal car could use this system, and it's fairly obvious. I can jack this car right up, and I can actually put 2 axle stands either side and put a board across, and then basically just put the stand back in and drop it back down on the boards. That would save a lot of faffing around with a jack. You could bring it up in one place in the center on both subframes. Put your boards in, or put your jack stands in, whatever you want to use. Blocks, whatever, and it would be up at the right height, because obviously it'd be the same either side. Okay, so that's all there is. So you'll see in the video what I'm me using these, and as I said, it's just a concept. Please don't think that this is how it's going to be, because it's not. I would make them to a proper professional engineering standard if I was going to make them. But I'd like to get your comments and thoughts on it if you think it's worthwhile. I'm not interested in doing it as a commercial venture. I have invented things in the past through the oil service company I work for, but they obviously kept the idea because it's they have the right, when you work for an oil company or any company now, they have intellectual property. Anything that you do while you're with the company, they own it, regardless of if you come up with the invention yourself. They call it intellectual property, and they own that, and you have to sign that normally. So, and I'm too old for worrying about that. So, but if you guys want to share it or you like the idea, let me know. So I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so this is just a rough mock-up just to show you it does actually work. I'm not going to jack the car up too far because I would put rubber behind this if it was a production thing. So you can see if I take this down, basically it's just a piece of tubing with a spike on it. It's really rough, you can see I haven't welded it, you know, but I would obviously put some kind of rubber in the back there to stop it catching on the inner sill. And basically what you can do is get my hand like that. You pop that inside like that and just pull you. I'm doing it with a jack, but you could do exactly the same with the other piece there. And you can see it's flat against the body. You can make it whatever size you wanted, as long as it went in between the ribs. And you can see I can jack the car up on it. Oh, something on the XK. So I can jack it up, but obviously I don't want to damage the paintwork on this. As I said, I would put rubber on it. It hasn't marked it at all, as it turns out. You'd obviously have to get this angle correct. I just put a piece of square bar that I had. It's not exactly the right shape, but it will do the job. And obviously being that side, you could put the tubulars together and put it in sideways up, you know, so you could either come this way, or if you wanted to, you could make a T-piece and come out from the side that way as well. You could do the same thing and then just put this the other way around. So that's the first idea. As I say, it's just really not together. A couple of minutes it was, but that would certainly work. So I'll take you on to the bit on the subframe. It's a bit rough and ready, but as you can see from the subframe on here, I was looking at, you can see right now that that's just wedged between the battery box and the subframe, and it's now it's actually the same height as the jack stands. And what I was looking at is you could actually lift it from here. Now this is a very old subframe. You can see it's got the original hydroelastic holes in it, and the new subframes don't come with this unless you order it. So I was looking at bolting it, and then I thought, how could I do that? So again, excuse the welding, it was just a couple of minute job just to knock it together. So I've come up with basically this, which is a piece of box section. The box, the distance between there and there is 4 centimeters. It's the same front and back. Now what you wouldn't want to do if it was weak is crush this, because it's just a U shape. So if you were to put, like I've done here, I'll bring it up into the camera, a bit out on line on the floor. So you can see there, I've just put a bit of box section on it, and the idea is that it slides inside. So this box is basically like that inside, and it stops this from being crushed. And you will just hang that in there, and then put this piece in there, and then it will lift it. And then you could do the same on the back. This is just a knock-up, it's a prototype, but you could actually get it so that it could clamp over there in some way so it couldn't come off. You could actually, rather than weld it to the car, and that way you could lift it front and back with this device, and then put it onto your axle stands. Just put your boards under, like that one is at the front with the boards, and put it up onto your axle stands. It'd be very easy to do that. But as I say, I just wanted to see if it would work, and I tried it and it works fine. So I've just put it on here to show you, because I can't film and lift it, but it works. It lifts it no problem to the same height, and basically that round piece there goes into that round piece there, and it just pivots on it and it lifts it up. So that's the idea, that's the concept of it, and it seems to work quite well. What I would now do, oh, it's my dog, oh, he's always barking. What I would now do is I had a lot of really good suggestions, and one of the things that's come up is this 90 degrees too much. If something was to hit the car, it would fall off. So what I would do when I make this is just a prototype, when I make the real one, is I will angle this bar, because I had lots of suggestions, and they're absolutely, people who mentioned that, they're absolutely right. If this was leant back at a slight angle, the first thing I thought about is to take this ring and then cut it down at an angle on the back here to take it over center. But I believe it needs to come back a little bit. What I was trying to do with 90 degrees is get the maximum lift. Obviously, if you angle that backwards, you will go higher at the point where it's on the pivot until you lay this back down on the ground, and it'll come down. But we're talking about a few millimeters, if half a centimeter. So this is what I'll do. This was just a knock-up, or a quick make-up. I can make the same kind of thing, but have it slightly tilting back at an angle there. So I just wanted to give you a little update, and there's no reason why that won't work at all. You can just, and you could leave this half moon thing on. You could put it in place with bolts where you just, not bolts, but pinch bolts where you attach it to the subframe. All it's got to do is not slip out when you're lifting on it, or you could just, you know, put it in, and when you're going to be doing some work on it, whatever. But the whole point of the exercise is to not have to faffing around with jacks and you know, trying to get one side up at a time and the other side up at a time, and then it's at an angle and the jack stands are moving and it damages the floor and God knows what. So that's the idea, and you can see from there quite clearly that is. In fact, I'll bring this light up now so I can show you. I think you can see, excuse the camera work, but I think you can see, let me just bring this out, is it? That's in. I think you see quite clearly that's enough room to get underneath that. And that's just on the one. But definitely I would take that angle back. I think at least half a dozen people suggested that, and it's the right way to go, because if you were to knock the car, it would slip off there, even if it was in a half pipe. But being pointed backwards, it means you have to you'd have to lift it and then feel the weight come onto it, which would be much, much safer. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, just a couple of quick ideas. I thought I'd give you a little update. I literally knocked them up, both of these up in, well, you can see by how bad the welding is, probably a couple of minutes each. I had a bit of an idea, went down, just tacked them up, just to see if it would work. If this is going to work, I need to get down to the fine point of making the proper calculations for the depth, the size of the plate, the angles, and so on and so forth. But anyway, just let me know, guys, if it's something you might be interested in, and yeah, we can share it. Okay, so stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and I'll catch you later.